All right, guys. Our next guest is on a super impressive five-fight undefeated run in the UFC, defeating such names as Marcus Brimage, Uriah Faber, and of course Thomas Almeida himself. He now headlines UFC Fight Night 131 in June against Marlon Moraes. It is a pleasure to welcome Jimmie Rivera to Submission Radio for the first time, straight after his training session. Jimmie, welcome to the program. How are you, man?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Good. And it's great to have you on the show for the first time, Jimmie. It feels like this thing has been a long time coming. We know it must have been a crazy time for you last week, being such a big part of the UFC 25th anniversary press conference. Tell us, when did you find out you were going to be such a big part of the proceedings?
Honestly, I can't tell you. A couple weeks before it.
You've obviously had some really big fights in the past. We mentioned Thomas Almeida, Uriah Faber. Feels kind of like the UFC trying to push you a little bit more now, you know, giving you that platform, making you a main event headliner. How does it feel sort of being in that position? And, you know, is it true that this is because of the discussion that you had with them a little bit earlier in the year and you sort of pushed for this and, you know, getting that push that you're getting now?
I think it was just the next step as, top-ranked guys, especially myself, to fight as a main event. And I think, they need to – I think they're starting to push me a little bit more in a way, too, as well. But it's honestly, I figure for a career move and then for the UFC, it's the next step. You got a guy that's on a 5-fight winning streak in the UFC, is doing really well. Might as well give him a main event, push him a little more, get him out there a little bit more.
I mean, just speaking of that discussion, it would have been really interesting to see what happened. How was the discussion? How did it go? And did they sort of show their interest in making you one of the next big stars in the company?
No, I don't think it was like that. I think it came down to they wanted me to fight Marlon, and just they kept pushing for a fight, and I said yes to him December 30th and gave him 3 different weight classes, and then I said yes to him January 20th, and he said no to all that. So then it came down, they were pushing for February, but I already had my honeymoon schedule, and I wasn't going to reschedule it just because his kids said no. So I finally went on my honeymoon. I got back. That's when we started talking about what's next and what they wanted to do, and kind of went from there. We were actually supposed to fight as the main event in the April card in New Jersey, but they also asked Kevin Lee and Edson Barbosa first, and they got back to him quicker than we did because I was on my honeymoon. Oh. And when I got back, I said no problem. I said, the next thing was Utica. I said that's fine. It's perfect. It's close to home. I'd rather, fight close to home. I mean, obviously, New Jersey would have been perfect, but
that would have been amazing for you, right? The main event, hometown.
Yeah, but I didn't have to rush to get in shape coming back from my honeymoon. So yeah. I do like that extra time.
Where was your honeymoon, by the way?
It was in Costa Rica.
Oh, nice. So as soon as you saw that, you're like, all right, back to the buffet I go. Don't have to get on diet straight away.
Yeah, it was, not back to the buffet. I'm always, eating healthy. When I got back, I went back to eating healthy. And when I was on vacation, I enjoyed myself. And I started training right away when I got back.
Wow. Well, congratulations, obviously, on getting married. Just quickly, I feel like this honeymoon has been built up a lot. Obviously, the fights were supposed to happen, and then the honeymoon was sort of, something you weren't going to miss over. And I think you had to miss the honeymoon originally. So what was, I guess, some of the highlights in the honeymoon when you were down in Costa Rica, which I imagine would have been pretty beautiful?
Well, I missed the honeymoon twice. So
wow.
The first time I was supposed to fight Brian Caraway, he got hurt, and then the second time was Cruz, and he got hurt. So I was going to miss it the third time.
Yeah.
Costa Rica is great. It's kind of hard for me to sit still, so we did a little bit of everything: paddleboarding, surfing, quadding around. We actually went cliff jumping, which was really cool, zip lining, horseback riding. So we did a little bit of everything, which was a lot of fun.
Wow, that is literally a list that would take up a lot of time. So you're not joking around when you say that you like to stay busy. The thing about the press conference, just going back to that, Marlon made things interesting at the presser because, you've called him out on Twitter about his antics before, but did you expect him to be so animated during the press conference in person? And were you surprised at all that, he was so animated and so, I suppose, emotional throughout the proceedings of the press conference?
I'm not really. I figured he was going to try to make some stunt, but everything he said didn't make sense. And
could you understand him?
No, actually, when we faced off, he said something. I had no idea what he was saying. I started laughing because someone said something in the background, and I heard him, and that cracked me up. I had no idea what he's saying. He doesn't slow down and pronounce his words or anything like that. and he's saying things that doesn't make sense. You know, it was like when he was saying, "Oh, your honeymoon's an excuse why you can't fight." I'm like, "Yeah, my honeymoon is my legit excuse. I'm not going to reschedule the third time." And he was, you know, giving me a hard time. Like, listen, you got to enjoy your Christmas and your New Year's. I didn't, because even though that fight didn't happen until December 30th, and he said no to January 20th, we were still trying to make a fight for January 20th against someone else. Just what happened, all those fights fell through. And we were trying to fight someone at least, you know, on a one winning streak, so this way I could kind of like enjoy my honeymoon after that. And the only person they had was Dotson, and I wasn't going to fight Dotson. He lost his last fight prior to that. He was 2-3 in his last 5 fights. The guy just, you know, he moved over the bantamweight and hasn't really made a mark or done really well at all. Even his last fight, I don't agree on the outcome. I think Pedro won that fight. But that's hearsay. My main goal is to beat Marlon to get a title shot.
This feels like probably the most, I guess, the biggest rivalry you've had, you know, in your career thus far. Obviously, you know, between Uriah Faber, he was just a nice guy. Almeida, you know, there wasn't a whole lot of trash talk. How does that sort of affect you going into this fight? I'm wondering, you know, between all the sort of talking during the stare down, was there anything that you picked up on when you sort of faced off with Marlon?
I didn't understand what he said, so there was nothing I picked up. I just, you know, I had an incident with his manager when I was on the UFC 219 picking up my fighter kit. His manager's disrespectful to my wife especially. So everything that he says and his manager keeps going just kind of fuels the fire that makes me want to get in the cage more, and can't wait to get in the cage and beat the shit out of him. So I just think they keep talking, and especially his manager. So I just keep, like, you know, just filling up my gas tank, and I love it because I've been training. I haven't stopped training. You know, I even trained Friday, the day of the press conference, trained Saturday. You know, I don't stop training, and I'm pushing myself, I think, more than I have for this fight, especially with everything that happened, and especially that's a 5-rounder too.
Well, what do you think he's got such animosity towards you? Do you think it's 100% legit? Do you think it's partly put on to sort of get more interest in the fight? And do you think it may be a factor for him when you guys do fight that, you know, maybe his, I suppose, his feelings kind of get the best of him in that octagon?
I don't really know what's gonna happen till the day of. Obviously, what's gonna happen, how he's gonna fight. But I think at the end of the day that he's not as bright as I am. He's not quick to the mic and witty, and I think I'm the better fighter. The only thing, you know, anybody in the top 10, 5, 15, or just in general, I think that fight in the UFC are tough. But I'm just as tough, and I could go with anybody and fight anybody. So I don't, you know, I don't know where the confidence comes from, whatever he has, because even when years ago I actually got to train with him a little bit, I never really trained for him. I was training for Uriah Faber at the time, so it was one of those things that I kind of got tossed in because I was doing a lot of rounds and a lot of sparring with Frankie, and I just kind of got tossed in. I did some rounds with him too, but he's a different style than Uriah Faber was too, and so it was a different way of sparring. It was kind of hard because he's a kickboxer, a Muay Thai guy, and I'm trying to get ready for a wrestler. So it wasn't really, it was good work for as a body, but it wasn't something I really needed at the time. At the end of the day, I just think I'm better than him, and that's it. And I don't care what grudge he has or whatever he has. I really don't give a fuck.
Is there anything you can take away from that sparring session or that training session going to this fight, or do you think it's one of those things where, you know, he's probably a different fighter by now and it won't really help you?
No, he's the same fighter as he was back then. I was training for a wrestler, so it was a different fight. So it didn't even help me when I was sparring with him. You know what I mean? We told him, like, do me a favor, to you, like, you know, not kick and you know, throw your right hand a little bit more and more takedowns. You know, we were even telling him, like, you just do that, you know, and not do your style, because I'm not really trying to spar his style. I'm trying to get ready for Uriah Faber. So whenever I spar someone or my teammates, they emulate who the person I'm sparring. So it was great. Like when I was getting ready for Dominic Cruz's fight, I had 2 teammates could spar exactly like him. So it just helped me get ready for it.
And just going back to that Uriah Faber fight, I remember seeing you get that win. Obviously, a huge name, huge legend. You got on the mic afterwards. You know, you got this charm about you. You got this charisma. And I thought, wow, here's a big name. He's a potential, you know, future guy at 135. And it just feels like, you know, everything's kind of gone a lot slower than you probably would have wanted. You know, you beat Thomas Almeida. That's another great win. And then you had the Cruz fight, which everybody was looking at as a title eliminator. We all know what happened there. How you know, and then, of course, Brian Caraway, that was another huge name for you. How tough has it been, I guess, over the last, you know, in recent months and even the last year or so to sort of see your career probably not progress as quickly as you wanted it to, and through really no fault of your own?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's nothing I can do. People get hurt, and then they want to throw people in. They're not even worth it, you know what I mean? So I can't help. People got hurt 3 times last year. I had Caraway get hurt, then Cruz, and then Lineker. Like, it's just one of those things I wasn't catching a break. So someone asked me in the press conference, you know, I think he's actually going to show up for the fight. I'm like, I hope he shows up for the fight. I hope he doesn't get hurt. You know what I mean? That would suck because I'm putting all this time and effort in and I'm training my ass off. I want there to be a fight. I mean, honestly, if he ends up getting hurt, the only fight that makes sense is fighting the winner of Cody and TJ. You know what I mean? These other guys are hurt. That's the fight that makes the most sense. So we'll see what happens.
Were you disappointed when you saw that Cody would be fighting TJ and you're fighting Marlon? Did a part of you kind of hope that you'd be fighting Cody next?
No. Why would I fight Cody next? I would want to fight TJ next. I want to fight for the belt. No, I don't really care. I mean, they have a fight. They're coming up. So I think at the end of the day, I think this fight right here ends up being a #1 contender fight. And, you know, I get to fight whoever wins on August 4th. You know, and I think that's the way it should play out. I don't know how the UFC is going to play it out, though. And I kind of have to wait. And, you know, I guess you want to say cross my fingers or got to really make a statement on the 1st of June. So just kind of go from there. But I know Cody was saying, oh, maybe I'll do another fight with TJ or fight Cruz. I'm like, you know, I just think he's trying to duck me. I've said plenty of stuff on social media. He won't say one thing back. So I just think he doesn't want a hard fight. He wants an easy fight. He wants people that he thinks he could beat or that he knows he could beat, not guys that he doesn't think he could beat.
On a more positive note, are you happy that it's not TJ versus DJ because that would sort of tie up the division for a little bit? Are you happy to see that at least it's this rematch that keeps going, the belt going in the division?
Yeah, I'm definitely happy that because then it would have postponed the division a little bit more too. But I'm definitely happy for that. I probably assume if they were to end up fighting, it'd probably be an interim belt some way along the line, just because you put in the division on the postpone, so you need to keep it going. But I am happy. I know a lot of people want to see the fight. I actually did want to see the fight too as well. But I'm also happy to keep my division going too.
What about the fact that I think you touched on this a second ago, where Cody said that if he beats TJ, he's willing to do it again and sort of have a rubber match? Because that's you know, you're talking about not catching a break. That would be another thing that will sort of delay things for you.
I think it really has to go on how the match goes down. If TJ wins, there should be no rematch, obviously. It all depends on how the fight goes. And I think that's the
Sorry, and just to follow up on, you mentioned before about how Cody, you feel like he's sort of ducking you and he wants to fight easy guys that he can sort of beat. Do you feel like TJ Dillashaw is one of those guys, or you mean sort of other people that sort of he's looking at facing? Do you feel like TJ's an easier guy to face compared to yourself?
Compared to I think, honestly, I think I'm a tough guy. I believe I'm a tough guy to fight. I think at the end of the day, he has experience with TJ, training so much with him and sparring with him that he believes he could beat him. You know what I mean? He says the last fight, he talks about the last fight every time, how if he had like 10, 20 more seconds, he would have finished TJ. But TJ came back out in that second round and finished him. And he's already fought Cruz, and he beat Cruz, we know, really well, and outboxed him. And I think he's just looking for those fights that will be easy for him, that he knows he can win.
And we appreciate your time, Jimmy. We'll let you go in just a couple of questions. But just quickly on the whole situation, obviously, a lot of people believe that this should be for the title match. But has the UFC confirmed with you that it is for the title? And if you had to fight one more time, would you be open to it, or would you sit out until you got that title shot?
I don't know. It all depends. Someone asked me that before, and it really depends. I'm not sure. I believe it should be for the title fight, but I don't know what the UFC is going to do or going to say. Maybe when it gets closer, they're going to be, all right, it's a #1 contender fight, push it like that. I don't know if I would want to sit out or want to get back in. I'm not sure what I would want to do at that. It's kind of one of those things as when it comes across, I got to figure out exactly how I'm gonna feel and what I'm gonna do.
Do you sort of feel like you got to put in a big statement just to solidify that fact that you the way you beat Marlon is obviously the right you should be fighting for the title basically?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I have to put on a big, but I think whether it's a knockout or submission or dominate all 5 rounds, you can't really say no, he doesn't deserve a title shot.
Well, it's going to be exciting. We can't wait to see the fight. Just quickly, as we wrap up and let you go, because we know you're busy training, what is your prediction? It's still a little while away, but how do you see yourself beating Marlon?
I just see myself getting my hand raised at the end. It doesn't matter as long as if I could grab a limb or a neck, or I could punch him and lay some leather down and finish him. That's it. I'm looking to go in there and do my thing, and if the knockout or the submission comes, it comes. If not, if I tear him apart all 5 rounds, then I tear him apart all 5 rounds. You know what I mean? I'm just looking to get my hand raised at the end.
All right, well, there you go, guys. It's going to be a battle between 2 of the best bantamweights in the UFC. Really excited for this matchup, guys. Don't forget, it is UFC Fight Night 131. It's going to be in Utica, obviously, in June. And don't forget to follow Jimmy on Twitter at Jimmie Rivera 135. Very excited for this one. And thank you so much for your time, Jimmy. Really appreciate it. And good luck in training. Are you done for the day training? Or are you going back for another session in a second?
Actually, I already did my second session today. I'm teaching. I have a school in New York City on East 23rd Street that I run and teach. So I was just in the middle of my advanced kickboxing class. I had one of my assistants finish up the class, and I'm going back upstairs to finish my last class and end off the day. So I work Monday through Saturday in the city and teach classes, and I'll train in the morning for 2.5 hours, and I'll hit another training session at night. So I'm a very busy person.
You are a very, very busy guy. For anyone in the area, what's the name of the school so they can come down and be taught by a guy like yourself?
No problem. It's the Tiger Showman School. It's the Tiger Showman School in Gramercy in New York City. It's on East 23rd Street between Madison and Park Ave, located on the 2nd floor. There's Arby's and a McDonald's not too far, which is probably not the best food, obviously. Right next to us, we have Madison Square Park is right across from us, diagonal. And, people always come in. I mean, people here on social media, my school, and they come in, they want to take classes. No problem. Jump in and take class. And, it's not a fighting school. I teach people, I teach kids self-discipline, self-defense, and build their confidence. Adults come in just want to get in good shape and be able to defend themselves.
See, that's a great pitch right there. Go in, learn from the best, and if you're not going to go down for the fighting, at least go down, do a class, and then maybe you can go to Arby's or McDonald's, afterwards or before, and then you can burn the calories.
There's no fighting at all. I got 243 students, and I got 3
Holy
students
crap.
that do kickboxing fights, kickboxing fights. So the school's not a fighting school. It's about getting in shape and, just coming in and learning something. You know what I mean? Not coming in and not being able to walk the next day.
Yeah.
We're not a fight school. My manager actually came in the other day he took his first class, and he was like, he really was thrown off because he thought it'd be like some hole in the wall, like, all right, we're training a fight. I'm like, nah, man, it's not like that. That's not how you have a successful school. Successful school is not about fighting. It's about getting people good and getting people in shape and getting kids to build their confidence and being able to defend themselves against bullies. That's the biggest thing. It's not about fighting. It's about knowing what to do. We always say the best self-defense is self-defense you need to know. I mean, need to use. So people, just the way you hold yourself and you know how to defend yourself, a lot of times people don't mess with you. And I've been in situations like that plenty of times where, someone said something and I responded back and they're like, no, it's okay, man, I'm sorry, or no problem, I'm sorry, I apologize, whatever happened. It's just how you hold yourself.
I needed this school when I was growing up. Just quickly, we'll let you go in 2 seconds, Jimmy, but I know you're at the school now. We got you on video. Can you give us maybe like a 360 view, just so that people don't think it's a hole in the wall like your manager? Just show us the goods and people can get excited.
I can flip it. Okay, hold on. Let's see where we're at. Did it flip? Oh, hold on. Okay, so if you look up here, the monitors, that's the 3rd floor, which is all mat and bags. And then down here, it's the 1st floor, where we have the warm mat and the front desk and all that.
Nice.
Locker rooms are in the back over there, and then you can see right up there, there's 2 TVs and some couches that are behind, and they can watch the classes.
This is a sweet setup you got. You can judge a place by how good the TV qualities are, because you're doing well when you got the fancy TVs. So you got the sweet setup.
TVs and couches.
Wow.
TVs and couches. Where parents can sit down and watch, or teenagers are in training, they can sit down and the parents can watch the class instead of being upstairs where everybody's training hard and working and sweat's flying.
Awesome. Well, we'll let you go, Jimmy. Again, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it. And good luck in Ithaca. We'll definitely be watching.
Appreciate it. Have a good one.